Okay, let's unpack this idea that seems almost, well, audacious, really. What if the key to unlocking, peak performance, creativity, and maybe even a genuinely magical life wasn't some complex strategy, but was actually as simple as waking up at 5 a.m.?
It does sound deceptively simple, doesn't it? And that's the core idea in Robin Sharma's book, The 5 a.m. Club. But what's really interesting about this source, this material, is how it presents it.
Yeah.
It's not dry.
Not at all.
It wraps the whole method inside this, unique story.
Right.
A narrative with characters and places you just wouldn't expect.
Exactly. It uses a story to pull you in. So our mission here in this deep dive is basically to navigate that story. We want to pull out the key insights, the surprising bits of knowledge, and the stuff you can actually use, the practical takeaways.
Yeah. All while sticking to how the book lays it out through this kind of unconventional journey.
Because it's arguing this isn't just about setting an early alarm.
Right. It's framed as a path to deep personal change. It challenges a lot of common ideas about success, happiness, productivity, and, who you think you can be. And it throws you right into the struggle first.
And the struggle is pretty intense. The book kicks off at this big personal optimization conference, introducing two main characters. First, there's the entrepreneur. She's really on the verge, totally burnt out, overwhelmed.
Yeah, wrestling with some really dark thoughts, even suicidal ones mentioned. And she's deeply cynical about the whole self-help world at this point.
Totally. Then there's the artist. He's got this distinctive look, very unconventional, and he's there hoping for, a creative spark.
But he's also dealing with his own stuff, right? Inconsistency, those days where just getting out of bed feels like a massive effort.
And on stage, you have the spellbinder. He's this super charismatic figure, very powerful presence. But the book shows these little cracks, these moments of vulnerability.
Like that strained breath, a tear, this really heavy silence. He taps right into that feeling we all get sometimes, that feeling of being stuck.
He does. He talks about living the same week over and over thousands of times, and that really hits home.
Yeah, and that quote, "Too many among us die at 30 and are buried at 80. Oof. The real wake-up call about, not wasting time.
It is. And then, mid-speech, there's this interruption. Some guy in a red baseball cap shouts out.
Right. And that leads the spellbinder to make this crucial point. He says, ideas are worth nothing unless backed by application.
Mm-hmm.
The smallest of implementations is always worth more than the grandest of intentions. Basically, stop just thinking, start doing.
It cuts right through the noise, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Grounds everything in action.
Absolutely. And he follows it up with another challenge. Your biggest discomfort. That's where your biggest opportunity is hiding. You got to lean into the scary stuff.
Which perfectly sets up the arrival of the really unexpected teacher.
Oh, yeah. After the conference, this guy appears. And he seems, homeless. Definitely eccentric.
Understatement. He's described with this wild laugh like a circus clown on acid, crying suddenly, kissing beads. You just walk past him.
Totally. Not your typical guru image, not at all.
Not even close. But then he opens his mouth and the insights are just, wow, really sophisticated. He talks about leadership in this interesting way.
Yeah, like helping disbelievers see your vision, empowering the powerless, giving hope. And he's got this sharp take on letting go of employees who aren't growing anymore, seeing it as necessary.
Which is tough advice, but maybe real. And then comes the big reveal, the narrative twist.
The twist, this guy, the apparently homeless man, is actually Mr. Riley, a billionaire. Very reclusive.
And he makes this completely wild offer to the entrepreneur and the artist.
Insane offer. Private jet, private island, Mauritius. He says, come with me, I'll teach you everything.
The promise is huge. Get more done by noon than most people do all week. Optimize your health. Learn faster.
But there's one condition. The only condition to start this whole journey.
Meet him at 5 a.m. sharp.
And that kicks off the whole adventure. The book paints this picture of the flight, this sheer luxury, then arriving in Mauritius, this incredible beauty like a Gauguin painting.
Yeah, this feeling of being on island time where people seem radiant, present. It's a stark contrast to the stressed world they just left. The source really emphasizes that.
And Mr. Riley himself seems different there. Taller, bronzed, stylish, but still fundamentally that same oddball.
Right. His driver describes him that way: super wealthy, generous, compassionate, strong willpower, strong values. And yeah, an oddball. It suggests you don't lose yourself to achieve mastery.
But even in paradise, the old life kind of bleeds in, doesn't it?
It does. The entrepreneur gets this menacing phone call, a death threat from investors, and she has this terrifying nightmare about someone at her door.
It shows how deep her stress runs, which is exactly what the 5 a.m. method is supposed to help with. And Mr. Riley's just calm, like, my security will handle it.
Uh-huh.
Shows his capability, creates this safe space for them.
So from the island, the journey shifts. Next stop, Rome.
The Eternal City. Another beautiful setting, especially those quiet early mornings the book describes. And you really feel the bond forming between the three of them, like a little family.
Yeah, and it's filled with these little details, these quirks that make the lessons stick.
Like Mr. Riley getting a temporary tattoo of 20-20-20 on his arm.
Huh. Yeah, like a fun, visible commitment to the morning formula.
And the wishbone ritual, remember that? With the line about needing a backbone, not just a wishbone? Echoes that earlier point about action.
Totally. Meeting his security guy, Adriano, his love for simple cacio e pepe pasta. It makes him relatable, humanizes the billionaire guru thing.
Exactly. So these experiences, sometimes weird, always immersive in these amazing places. It's the book's way of getting the characters, and us, ready for the core ideas. It's not just theory.
It's theory lived out, and the absolute center of it all is that phrase, own your morning, elevate your life.
That's the anchor. The book really pushes this idea that huge results come less from genetics and more from dialing in your daily habits. And that 5 a.m. ritual, that's the keystone habit.
And to structure what you do in that hour, it introduces the framework of the 4 interior empires. This is where the real internal work happens, right?
Precisely. It's a model for optimizing yourself from the inside out. So first up is mindset, your psychology.
Okay.
The big idea here is the self-fulfilling prophecy. Basically, your thinking creates your reality, your results.
Yeah.
And leaders need to be constant learners, always upgrading their mental model.
Okay. Then there's heart set.
Your emotional world. This part really emphasizes trusting your gut, your intuition. Sometimes instinct is better than pure logic. And cultivating feelings like gratitude, positive expectancy, love. It's not just fluffy stuff. It's presented as vital for fulfillment.
Okay, mindset, heart set, then health set.
Your physical body. And the book is, really clear on this. Non-negotiable. You got to start the day with intense exercise.
Intense.
Yeah. And there's this cool insight mentioned. You often don't realize how badly you felt before you started exercising consistently. Your low energy was just normal. Optimal health, the book says, maximizes your power to create magic.
Interesting. And the fourth, soul set.
Soul set. Your spiritual core. This is about feeding your inner self, your values, your purpose. The book contrasts this, calling it leadership royalty, with what most people chase, external stuff, validation, popularity.
Like selfies and expensive clothes they can't afford, it mentions that.
Exactly. Neglecting your soul, Sharma argues, means ignoring the wisest, deepest part of yourself.
So these 4 empires, how do the characters actually work on them at 5 a.m.? The book shows the entrepreneur using the 20-20-20 formula.
Right, structures that first hour, the victory hour, from 5 to 6 a.m.
Okay, break it down. First 20 minutes.
Movement, intense movement, like wind sprints, weights, something to get the blood pumping, wake up the body.
In the next 20.
Reflection, calibration, so contemplation, journaling, maybe meditation, quieting the mind, setting intentions.
And the final 20 minutes.
Growth, learning, listening to audiobooks, reading about productivity, leadership, lives of great people, actively expanding your knowledge.
And the source mentions this interesting neurological idea connected to this time, transient hypo something.
Hypofrontality. Yeah, transient hypofrontality. Sounds complex, but the idea is basically that in that early, quiet hour, the part of your brain that judges and inhibits, the prefrontal cortex, is less active.
So less mental noise.
Exactly. Less self-criticism, less distraction, which allows for more focus, creativity, maybe even accessing a state of flow. That's why it's framed as the ideal time for deep work and learning.
Okay, that makes sense. But making this a habit, that's the hard part. The book gives strategies for that too, right? Habit installation.
Definitely. It talks about the classic 4-part pattern: cue, craving, ritual, reward. And it really stresses setting up good rewards to make the habit stick, make it something you look forward to.
And then there are those 3 brain tattoos, core principles.
Yeah, memorable ones. Number 1, never install alone. Find a community, a group, support. Makes it much easier.
Like a club.
Exactly, like the 5 a.m. club itself. Number 2, the teacher learns the most. Teaching the principles to someone else reinforces them for you.
And number 3.
When you most feel like quitting is the time you must continue advancing. Push through that resistance point. That's where the real growth happens.
That's a tough one, but powerful. The book also tackles a very modern problem, distraction, broken focus syndrome.
Oh, big time. Caused by technology, complexity, just constant bombardment. And the solution proposed is blunt. Simplify. Simplify, simplify.
What does that look like in practice?
It means intense focus on fewer things. Fewer projects, but done really well. Fewer relationships, maybe, but deeper ones. Saying no more often to things that don't align. Mastering a few key books instead of just skimming dozens.
Yeah.
Depth over breadth.
So it's about clearing the clutter mentally and externally.
Totally. Yeah. But the wisdom in the book isn't just about the morning routine. There are deeper life lessons woven in, like the importance of rest.
That feels counterintuitive sometimes in the productivity space.
It does. But drawing on studies like one on Russian weightlifters, the book argues top performance isn't a straight lineup. It's cyclical, like a heartbeat.
High performance cycles, then deep rest cycles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
High excellence cycles followed by deep refueling cycles. And here's the key. A lot of the growth, the consolidation of learning, actually happens during the rest.
So how do you apply that?
Practical stuff, like 0 device days, at least 2 a week if possible, and taking real breaks, like proper quarterly time off. Mr. Riley himself, the billionaire, apparently takes 3 months off every summer.
3 months? Wow.
Yeah, arguing he comes back way more inspired and effective. It's a strong case against burnout culture.
Another really profound theme is, well, suffering. How to deal with it, even leverage it.
This is a heavy one, but important in the book. The teaching from the spellbinder and Mr. Riley is that great suffering is often part of the journey for great people. It's not just to be endured, but potentially used for healing, for purification.
Like pain can be a doorway, tragedy a purifier.
That's the idea presented, that it can burn away the ego, return you to what's essential if you engage with it consciously, that it can build empathy, originality, wisdom. It's a challenging perspective.
Definitely. And to really drive home the urgency of living fully, the book tells that story about the editor, O'Kelly.
Oh, that story is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
After a stroke, he could only communicate by blinking, and he used that to write a book, reflecting on all the things he'd postponed, family time, friendships.
It really hits you. A stark reminder of how fragile life is, that tomorrow isn't guaranteed, it's a bonus.
Exactly. The message is, don't put off living. Don't postpone joy. Don't postpone expressing your gifts. So many people, the books suggest, wait until they're too old or it's too late.
So it's about connecting with mortality, but in a way that fuels life now.
Yeah, living like there's no tomorrow in terms of seizing the day, but behaving with the wisdom as if you'll live forever, living fully, making your life a testament to your potential.
Which leads nicely into the idea of legacy, not just thinking about it, but taking a pilgrimage towards it.
Right. It distinguishes between being a casual tourist to your legacy versus making a deliberate, focused journey. What work will you leave? What impact? What decency?
And leadership, in this view, is about inspiring others through how you live, turning your own struggles into triumphs, heartbreaks into heroism, being a force for good.
But, and this is a crucial balance in the book, it warns against chasing success at the expense of your soul. Winning without feeling soulful. That's presented as the ultimate defeat.
Winning without enjoying it is nothing, as Mr. Riley says.
Exactly. So where do you find that soulfulness, that heaven on earth magic the book talks about?
It points towards simple things, doesn't it?
Very much so. The smallest moments. Connecting with nature vineyards, the sea, forests, experiencing art galleries, feeding those inner empires. Simple food with real people.
And it connects this to childhood, claiming that sense of wonder, imagination, innocence.
Yeah, that great line, adults are deteriorated children. And the Picasso quote the artist mentions about taking a lifetime to paint like a child. It's about getting back to that core state.
So how do you actually do that? How do you find the magic?
The advice is simple. Use your joy as a GPS. Trust your heart. That idea again. Instinct over intellect, intuition over reason. Follow what genuinely lights you up. That's your authentic self pointing the way.
Mr. Riley's maxims kind of summarize a lot of this, don't they?
They do, like owning the magic within you first, #1. Collecting experiences, not just things, #2. Using your thoughts, feelings, words, deeds as creative tools, #4. Optimal health, powering your magic, #7. Deep love bringing joy, #9. And that constant reminder, tomorrow is a bonus, #11. It ties it all together.
And throughout this whole journey described in the book, you see the entrepreneur and the artist actually changing.
You really do. They start off broken, cynical.
Yeah.
But by embracing the ritual, doing the inner work, absorbing these lessons, they transform. They find peace, clarity, purpose.
They even fall in love, get engaged, and Mr. Riley offering his beach for their wedding feels like the symbol of their complete turnaround.
Totally. The book states their mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set were being reordered and upgraded radically and irrevocably. It's presented as a total overhaul.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, we've followed this really unique narrative path from despair and feeling stuck to discovering the power of the early morning.
Doing that crucial internal work on the four empires. Learning to balance the intense effort with deep rest, facing life's fragility head on.
And ultimately finding the magic that's apparently available when you live more consciously.
The core message woven through this whole story seems to be that the 5 a.m. club isn't just about what time your alarm goes off. It's offered as this whole system for mastering yourself, living with meaning, making an impact.
Leaving a legacy that matters.
Right. And maybe here's a thought to leave you with, drawing from those lessons on suffering and mortality. If the book suggests greatness often comes from facing discomfort and realizing time is precious, what difficult truth, what challenge might you be avoiding right now? What small, maybe uncomfortable step, perhaps even taken at 5 a.m. tomorrow, could be your own personal doorway? Your first step on that pilgrimage toward the impact, the legacy you want to create.
Something to definitely think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.